So now we are going on to another problem, that is multiply strings, Leetcode question number 43. So the question says, given two non-negative integers num1 and num2 represented as strings, return the product of num1 and num2 also represented as a string. You must not use any built-in begin library or convert the inputs to integer directly. So that's the catch of the question, that you must not use these or convert them the inputs to integers directly. So that was obviously the brute force way of thinking, because num1 and num2 we have to multiply, and these are two strings. So our first thought is obviously the brute force approach, in which we think, since we cannot multiply these strings, we just first convert these strings into integers, multiply them as integers, and then finally convert our answer back to a string. But that we do not have to do, so we'll have to think of another approach. So this is the solution, as you can see. But basically, this is the function string multiply, and we are provided with the input string num1 and num2. So firstly, we handle the edge cases where the product is 0. So if num1 is equal to 0 or num2 is equal to a string of 0, obviously if one of the characters is 0, then the multiplication would also be 0. So that is why this is the edge case where we return 0, and we don't waste any time thinking about this. Right? This is done. Okay. Now what we do is we calculate the num1 size and num2 size, and the addition would obviously give us the maximum number of digits that are coming in the string, because multiplication would obviously give the size, which is basically the sum of these two, right? So this is the maximum of that number of digits that will come. So what we do is we create an array, or sorry, a vector in which we store the sizes, right? So let us name it num, and we store the maximum number of digits, comma, and fill each of the uh, vectors positions indices with 0. So vectors indices are raised to 0. Let us suppose if we are considering the first option. So since num1 plus num2, their size is num1 dot size plus num2 dot size is 1 plus 1, that'll give us 2. So basically we make a vector of this type 0 comma 0. Right, now what we need to do is build the number by multiplying one digit at the time. So we need to build the number by multiplying one digit at a time. So we go from I, basically we'll go from the from behind here, basically from the -1th index for both of them. So for I is equal to, we're considering the example 2. So for I is equal to num1 dot size -1, that is from I is equal to 3 minus 1, that is second index, that is 3 here. So from I is equal to, let me just put on the highlighter, right? So from this, for I is equal to 3, basically 2, I greater than equal to 0, I minus minus, and same for j. Basically we're traversing from here, and we'll go steps like that. So we'll come from the right to the left. That is how multiplication also happens. So these two for loops we've covered, and then we take the num, which is the, let me just change this, because it would now be 6 different positions, because we're multiplying 3 the sizes of 3 plus 3, right? So basically num of I plus j plus 1, that is, in this case we starting from I is equal to 2 and j is also equal to 2, so 2 plus 2, num of 5, that is this position. In this position we add num1 of I minus 0 times num2 of j minus 0. So what this minus of string of 0 does is basically it will convert it into the in format, right? So basically we're multiplying this and this, 3 and 6, and 3 and 6 we multiply, we get 18. So since 18 is a 2-digit number, what we do is we put in this position the remainder that will come up, that was basically we divided by 10. So basically in this position our 1 would come, this whole thing is 1, so we add 1 here and 8 comes here, and finally we basically, the position that we got here, we take the remainder with 10. So that's the basic concept of multiplication and carry on, right? So we performing that, and finally we skip the leading zeros. So we do that by taking I is equal to 0 initially, the take this variable, and we check if I, while I less than num dot size and num of I is equal to 0, we take the pointer ahead. So we skip the leading zeros, and then that's the case if we have any leading zeros, but in the examples we don't have any, so this will come up only that's the case. And then transform the vector to a string. So the vector would be converted back to the string by this, and we finally return the result, which is our final string, which is the multiplication of these two strings. So that's about the video, and thank you guys for watching.